spent my first couple of videos pointing out the differences that I've noticed between the UK and Spain, highlighting my cultural challenges and pointing out the things that I'd struggled adapting with. But it's not all doom and gloom. So now I want to give you the reasons why you should be moving to Spain. The first and most important reason that you should be moving to Spain is the people. When you first move here, you kind of get the sense that everybody's very rude, direct, but you learn very quickly that it's just a translation. When you translate Spanish into English, it comes across very direct and a bit rude, but it's not intended. Maybe it's because we're overly polite. But the attitude of the people is so refreshing and so beautiful. When you spend time with Spanish people, you start to realize that everything is a celebration in some way, shape or form. Even something as simple as just going for a coffee. There's an atmosphere of happiness, of gratitude, of warmness in the air, to an extent that you don't often feel in the UK. When you go for a coffee in the UK, it's a coffee and you have a catch up and you might have a laugh. But in Spain, it's like a mini party. People are so happy that other people are there. Socializing is such a wonderful thing here, whether it's with friends or with family. And even if your Spanish isn't very good, they have this wonderful patience with people, where they are more than happy to just sit and let you try out your Spanglish. I've visited countries where I've attempted to speak in their native tongue and they have no patience. They prefer to struggle through English because they don't want to hear you butcher their language. But in Spain it's very different because it's so common that the Spanish encounter the English who don't have an interest in learning their language, who just believe that everyone should speak English. So when they see you're making an effort, it really means a lot to them. And they have the patience to sit and let you try, even if you get it wrong. They will still find a way to help you, make you understand, help themselves to understand, and certainly will not mock you for it. They are wonderfully patient people who will welcome you with such open arms. Do you notice this atmosphere of such enthusiasm and positivity? They are happy to be doing anything with other people. They're happy to be going for a coffee, to be going for a walk, to be conversing. And even when things go wrong, that's okay. They can go with the flow in any aspect. If things don't go according to plan, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal because they're spending time with people that they enjoy the company of. Nobody's going to say, well, yeah, but I wanted to do this. No, it's okay. Let's do that. That sounds like a good idea. Okay, as long as we're together, we can have fun. And it's such a wonderful thing to witness, that there's this huge lack of stress and angst that I feel comes with the British culture, where our time is very precious and we have all our things set out and we know what we want to do and we know where we want to go. And for me, that was one of the biggest struggles, but something that I am slowly learning to adapt to. And I'm realizing that it's such a wonderful way to live because people are so much happier without so many ties. There's so much more joy if you don't allow yourself to get dragged down by little unimportant things. People don't make you feel like an outsider. People might question you. People are genuinely interested as to where you come from, as to your cultural background. It's not in a way to pinpoint your differences. It's because they're genuinely interested in you or about your past or about your culture or why you're here. Another very obvious reason to move to Spain is the country itself. There's this very odd misconception that Spain is always hot. It's not. Spain has a really varied climate depending on which region you are in. Along the south coast, Andalusia, the weather is generally a lot warmer. But in the north, they have the mountains as well as the beach incredibly close to each other. They have everything here. The majority of Spanish people don't ever leave Spain. And there are generations that have never left Spain in their life and won't. It's not out of ignorance. It's because they have everything that they need here. They have the mountains, which are stunning. If you head up north, up towards Galicia, Asturias, they have the most incredible mountains and peaks that you will ever see in your life. And all around the whole coast, the beaches are phenomenal. The weather gets up to 45, 50 degrees down on the south coast. So if your country had everything to an incredible quality, it's understandable that you wouldn't want to leave. Most people come here to enjoy the beaches because the beaches in Spain are beautiful. But it's not the only thing that they have to offer. Now the whole country is split up into 50 provinces, much like the United States. They have 50 states. And every province has its own history and its own story to tell. And it's so rich with culture. And the architecture from province to province can be so incredibly different, but always just as stunning. The architecture is mind-blowing. The cathedrals that they have here are just breathtaking. It's so rich in history and so much of it is untouched. There is so much space in Spain. There's not a massive difference in size between the UK and Spain, but they have so much open space that it's beautiful. And having that feeling of driving down the highway reminds me very much of America. They're very wide, and just having open space either side is such a liberating, enjoyable feeling when driving from province to province. You can drive 30-35 kilometers outside of Madrid. You don't actually have to go far in order to experience a different group of people who conduct themselves in completely different ways to Madrileños. And it highlights how rich and varied this country is in regards to the people, the history, the agriculture, the architecture, and the landscapes. Spain has everything. In regards to its landscape and architecture, there is nothing that Spain does not have. Developing on this, Spain has an incredible history. Now, it's actually been recorded that humans of our current anatomical state have been within the Iberian Peninsula for over 32,000 years, inhabiting Spain for a great deal of time. And at one point in time, Spain was one of the most strongest and powerful nations in the world. They have suffered so many wars. They were part of the Italian War, the 30 Years' War, the 80-Year War, the Franco-Civil War. Spain isn't too long out of a dictatorship, of which the people were greatly oppressed. Obviously some were for and some were against, but there were so many limitations within this dictatorship that oppressed them and controlled so many aspects of their life. At one point in history, the majority of Spain had actually been invaded by the Arabs, and a lot of that history still stands in some of the architecture, especially along the south coast around Andalusia. There are so many words in Spanish that actually have Arabic roots, and within Spain, because there are 50 separate provinces, there have been so many monarchies and so many wars between regions, between Madrid, between Andalusia, between Asturias, between Galicia, between Valencia, and every province has something to offer, and the people within the provinces differ greatly. The way in which they connect, the way in which they converse, the cultural differences that they often have. Another very good reason to move to Spain are the prices. Your money goes a long way in Spain. Just focusing on Madrid for a minute. Rent prices are about 59% lower than London. Just as an example, in London I was paying £950 a month for a one-bedroom flat, about 10 miles out of the centre. For me, I've lived in London for 10-11 years, so I was done with living in the major city. So I moved about 25-30 kilometres outside of Madrid, and as a result I'm paying the equivalent of about £290 a month for a two-bedroom flat with a swimming pool, 2 bathrooms, a balcony, and plenty of space, and a private concierge to handle my package. Now, much like London, there are buses, there are trains, there's an incredible underground network that allows you to get from place to place very easily and is a hell of a lot cheaper. Restaurant prices are about 34-35% lower than London. Grocery prices are about 17% lower than living in London. There are thousands of little restaurants around Spain that you can go out and get the menu of the day. That usually includes 3 courses, coffee, a bottle of wine, and you won't generally pay more than €10 for that. And because I live quite far out, I opted to get a car. My insurance in the UK was costing me about £900 a year. Here I pay €300, and that covers everything. That includes breakdown, that includes key cover. And because the roads are so well connected, you can get anywhere with such ease, without having to spend a great deal of money. And so many other products have such low prices. Coffee is almost half the price than in the UK. If you enjoy a beer, you'll be paying literally half the price. And because of this, it means that you can enjoy so much more without having to worry so much about money. And this is what partially attributes to this really nice, easy mentality that people have, because people can afford to go out and spend time with their friends without having to worry about spending 50-60 euros on a meal and some drinks with their friends. The food and fresh produce. Spain is one of the leading markets in the world that exports fresh fruit and fresh vegetables because their climate is perfect for it. And it's incredibly cheap to purchase here, but the quality is unbelievable and the prices are great for what you get. Spain is within the top 3 markets of the world in regards to exporting fresh produce. Almeria is a very dry area. It has the largest greenhouse area in the world spanning over 26,000 hectares, which produce a huge array of fresh fruit and vegetable, and of which the quality is incredibly high because of the perfect ambience. It's a place in which has been used in the past to film a lot of spaghetti westerns. In fact, a lot of John Wayne's films were actually filmed in Almeria in Spain, and there are a lot of other production companies who still film here. And before I moved here, I came to Almeria to film a Nickelodeon trilogy.
It's not dark to validate the history we'll remember, pal. It's me.
Each province tends to have their own cuisine and dishes that reflect their history, that reflect the people. And it's not just with the fruits and vegetables, it's also the meat. Meat is heavily integrated into Spanish culture in regards to the cuisine and the food. There are so many meat dishes. Some of them I enjoy, some of them I really don't. But even after living here for a year, I am yet to find something, whether I enjoyed it or not, that has been bad produce. I haven't encountered bad produce at all. The quality of food here is very important because food is very important to the Spanish people. It's very deeply rooted within their culture and it's a very social thing. So it's incredibly important to them to eat well. So Brexit is looming and not everyone is happy with it, but there are alternatives, there are options. And Spain is a very good example of a country that has a lot to offer without asking for too much. And now is probably a very good time to consider this before Brexit actually happens. And I highly recommend everybody to come and try spending some time here. You won't regret it.